COVID-19 Watch Weekend. Review ng mga kaganapan sa nakaraang linggo, mga kwento ng paglilingkod at kabayanihan, mga paraan kung paano makakatulong. COVID-19 Watch Weekend.
Magandang araw, kaagapay. Ito po si Heidi Bernardo Sampang at welcome sa isa na namang edisyon ng COVID-19 Watch Weekend. Ihahatid po namin sa inyo ang mga balitang may kinalaman sa COVID-19 at makakasama din natin later on ang Frontliner of the Week na itatampok ni Joy Kawayan Combatier mula sa South Cotabato. Maririnig din po natin ang isang pagbubulay sa Biblia mula sa Pangulo ng FEBC Philippines. Tungkol po ito sa katatagan o resiliency na kailangan natin ngayon.
COVID-19 Watch.
May bakuna na kontra Coronavirus Disease 2019 sa Abril ng susunod na taon. Ayon ito kay Pangulong Duterte batay sa kanyang pakikipag-usap kay Health Secretary Francisco Duque III kung masusunod aniya ang mga panuntunan hinggil dito. Ipinabatid ng Pangulo na nakausap niya si Russian Ambassador Igor Kovayev na nagsabing malapit na maging available ang kanilang bakuna kasabay ng pagpapaalala sa mga pagnanais ng Russia na magtayo ng planta ng pharmaceutical sa Pilipinas. Binigyan diin ni Pangulong Duterte na wala siyang pakialam kung saan gawa ang bakuna, Russia, China o Amerika man, basta't ang mahalaga ay magkaroon ng bakuna kontra COVID-19. Una nang inihayag ni Pangulong Duterte na mayroon na siyang pera na ipapambili ng bakuna para sa nasa 20 milyong mahihirap na Pilipino. Bagamat patuloy anya ang paghahanap niya ng pondo para mabakunahan din ang 113 milyon ng mga Pilipino. Pinuri ni National Task Force COVID-19 Policy Chief Implementer, Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. ang mga hakbang ng Cebu City at Metro Manila upang kontrolin ang pagkalat ng deadly virus. Ipinagmalaki ni Galvez ang improvement ng naitatalang kaso sa dalawang lungsod dahil na rin sa pagsunod ng publiko sa mga umiiral na health protocols. Sa loob ng 7 araw ay wala anyang naitalang kaso ng namatay dahil sa deadly virus sa nabanggit na lungsod. Kung maaalala, noong Hulyo ay isinailalim sa lockdown ang Cebu City matapos na tumaas ang naitatalang kaso ng COVID-19 kada araw. Nagbunsod ito ng pagka-alarma sa lokal at national authorities. Isinisi rin ng Pangulo ang nangyari sa mga Cebuano na binabalewala lamang ang mga quarantine protocols ng lungsod. Ayon kay Galvez, nakakakita sila ng pagbaba sa kaso ng COVID-19 sa Cebu City simula noong Setyembre 1 kung saan isinailalim na ito sa Modified General Community Quarantine. Pinalakpakan rin ni Galvez ang mga opisyal ng Metro Manila makaraang bumaba rin ang active cases ng deadly virus sa naturang rehiyon. Mula sa 20,000 noong Setyembre ay bumulusok ito sa 7,830 ngayong Oktubre. Ipinagmalaki rin ng kalihim ang importansya ng pagpapadala sa quarantine facilities sa mga self-isolating COVID patients. 32,000 anya sa mga kaso sa Metro Manila ay dinala sa mga hotel at quarantine center. Susunod naman sa ating COVID-19 Watch Weekend, narito ang ating Frontliner of the Week. Ipapakilala siya ni Joy Kawayan Combatier. Ito po ay si Dr. Jocelyn Bayquin, ang Municipal Health Officer ng Lake Cebu at President ng Association of Municipal and City Health Officers, SOCSargen Chapter.
Trabaho ng mga municipal health officer na pangasiwaan at i-monitor ang kabuuang health status ng komunidad at ipatupad ang mga programang pangkalusugan sa lugar na kanilang nasasakupan. Sila ang mga nabansagang health manager ng munisipyo. Si Dr. Jocelyn Bayquin, ang ating Frontliner of the Week, ay ang Municipal Health Officer ng Bayan ng Lake Cebu na siya ring presidente ng Association of Municipal and City Health Officer sa SOCSargen Chapter. Ibinahagi ni Dr. Bayquin ang mga hamon na kinakaharap ng mga municipal health officer lalo na ngayong panahon ng pandemya at mga kinakailangan nilang suporta.
Actually, maraming challenges sa isang municipal health officer with the pandemic. Una, This is entirely new to us, and kung hindi kami prepared, then we will be having difficulty in dealing with the situation. So since it's very new, lahat ng mga municipal health officers are being challenged by the situation on how to cope, on how to implement, and on how to contain all of this. So that's the number one challenge. It's not only us, but the entire rural health unit or the municipal health unit ang challenge, and even our local governance. Yung unang challenge natin, that is ownership of the problem. Since that problem is nandun na, then we need to strategize kung paano siya makontain. The second challenge is, do we have the right health system, or do we have the right people, or do we have the right information to the communities? Malaking challenge sa amin as municipal health officers. And maybe the third challenge is how supportive is our local government unit sa mga dapat namin gawin. Kasi support is very important. Under kami sa local government unit, we need all the support that we can get in order for us to implement kung ano yung mga strategies na sa isip namin is tama. So we need the right support in terms of monetary support from the local government unit or even from the national government, and the right moral support, kasi even if you have all the financial support, kung hindi naman tayo supportado ng ating local governance or even our communities, then it would be very difficult for us to implement all these strategies. And I think the next support would be the community support. Kasi kung implement tayo, and then the community is not supporting us in terms of cooperation, coordination, and follow through sa mga advisories natin, then yung effort natin is very futile. The last challenge is how to keep intact your municipal health office. Kasi unang-una, we have to see to it that our people, the people under our municipal health officers, be amply protected and given the right conditions where to work. The last challenge that I'm saying is talagang very important, kasi kung wala yung safety at hindi makafunction ng tama ang ating mga health workers, then hindi mo din magagawa as municipal health officer yung mga gusto mong gawin kasi nag-iisa ka. So I think lahat ng mga municipal health officers have all these challenges. Kaya lang, iba-iba kasi ang sitwasyon ng mga munisipyo. Pero alam mo naman yung mga municipal health officers are very resourceful, very dynamic in nature. Unang-una, they really have to step up. Hindi kami magtrabaho because we are building this wall na hindi talaga mapunta lahat ng mga pasyente sa mga hospital. So kami yung nasa front lines para hindi naman masyadong ma-overload yung ating hospital system. So sa community pa lang, we're trying to prevent that maging maging epidemic in the province or even lang sa municipalities namin.
28 taon nang naninilbihan bilang Municipal Health Officer si Dr. Baikin. Kung bakit siya ay nagpapatuloy sa paglilingkod, narito ang kanyang pahayag.
What keeps me going, I think, is the primary passion ng isang municipal health officer is to really keep intact all the stakeholders ng isang health system. Maganda ang mga layunin ng isang municipal health officer even if merong mga problema na hindi natin kakayanin dahil may mga pressures from the government side, may pressures from the community side, and even may pressures from the family side. Pero I think the will to serve or the passion to serve is what keeps a municipal health officer going.
Ibinahagi rin ni Dr. Baikin ang mga praktikal na leksyon na itinuturo sa atin ng kinakaharap nating krisis.
I would like to share this, that at all times we should be ready. May pandemic man o wala. So we need to have one responder for every family. In terms of economics naman, kailangan talaga we should not be so dependent with the local government. Huwag natin iasa lahat sa munisipyo. Every household should be ready for any situation that should come sa kanilang mga bahay-bahay. Another lesson is, kahit na hindi natin gusto, we have to be techy. Na kailangan marunong tayong gumamit ng social media, marunong tayong gumamit ng mga computers kasi 'di ba yung new normal natin, more on telecommunications na tayo. So isang lesson 'yon sa atin that we have to adapt with the times, na kailangan natin ding maging marunong. And then the third lesson is kailangan magbasa tayo. mga guidelines tayo, no? Lalong-lalo na no, sa contact tracing natin, kailangan basahin natin yung mga guidelines. At saka sa testing mismo, we have to read the guidelines kung ano, paano, sino ang itetest natin para hindi natin na-overload yung ating mga laboratories. And then, maybe the last lesson is we really have to adapt, no, in terms of changing our behavior for the new normal. So, hindi lahat ng nakagawian natin ay kakailanganin pa natin. Lahat ng mga tinuturo sa atin, dapat ini-invite natin. No? Kay ordinaryo man tayong tao, professional man tayo, we have to abide by what is required sa ating new normal. Lesson learned is for the local governance that they should also adapt sa mga pangangailangan ng ating mga tao, and they should also adapt mga bagong normal in terms of governance. Na kailangan din nilang suportahan yung ating health system, yung ating health sector.
Lahat ng tao ay may papel na dapat gampanan bilang responsableng mamamayan. Dagdag na paalala ni Dr. Baikin, walang epektibo na sistema kung walang disiplina ang komunidad. Para sa COVID-19 Watch Weekend, ako po si Joy Kawayan Combatier.
Salamat Joy Kawayan Combatier mula po sa ating himpilan dyan sa Cotabato. Samantala, susunod po sa ating programa, ilang panuntunan para sa praktikal na pag-alalay natin sa mga dumaranas ng mental health issues. Mula po sa isang clinical psychologist sa Cebu City, si Dr. Gigi Harner.
Magandang araw po sa inyo mga kaibigan. Ito po si Efren Palyurina at ngayong araw gusto kong ipakilala sa inyo ang isang magbubukas ng ating isipan sa isang bagay na parang hindi natin napag-uusapan often enough. At narito po at kasama natin si Dr. Gigi Harner. Dr. Harner, when we go to the faith community, the world of believers, followers of Jesus Christ, at ang minsan lumalabas ay, hindi pwedeng may anxiety ang Kristiyano, hindi pwedeng nakakaranas ng depression, ang mga nagsasabing we are members of the family of God. That can pose a significant mental health conflict. Tama ba yung statement na yun? How would you respond?
If you look at the Bible and you really look at it from the emotional perspective, just, because I'm a clinical psychologist, so I look at the Bible differently. I look at people's issues. So I look at their emotions. If you look at Elijah himself, after the showdown in Mount Carmel, can you imagine he saw God, his power. And you know what? Just Jezebel telling him, I'm going to kill you after you have done this to my... And can you imagine? Where was his faith? It's like unbelievable that he actually focused on Jezebel's word. Many, many times we serve God with all passion and stuff like that. But somebody just criticized us and all of a sudden everything changed. And all of a sudden you remember Elijah even hiding in the cave. He wishes to die. It's like, Lord, just take my life. And you know what God did? He really cared for Elijah. He sent raven to feed him, to eat him, to give him food, to strengthen him, because he's going to be, walking again for many miles. Mm-hmm. But this is if you really see this, God did not tell him, did you not see my miracle? Why are you not picking up your stuff? Did not. In fact, the Lord fed him, because most of the time they are so exhausted. Physically, they are really just, they don't want to eat anymore. They cannot sleep. They are feeling helpless. They're feeling hopeless. They feel worthless, and all of a sudden they want to do ministry, but they don't have interest anymore. So there's a lot of changes in their lives. They have no motivation. They lost their their spontaneity of life. They become restless. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they just want to die. So this is actually the symptoms of depression. And if you look at that, even David experienced that. Mm-hmm. The intensity of this. And if you look at this, in Psalm, you will really realize, oh my gosh, this is really big. The word of God tells you that people goes through depression. And, there is what they call depressed state. There's a depressed mode. But there's also what they call major depressive disorder or episode, which is, you have that sense of helplessness, worthlessness, you don't want to eat, you eat a lot, don't want to sleep, loss of motivation, like there's like a psychomotor, retardation, you have lost interest in life, and then you have these thoughts of meaninglessness and hopelessness. And so if this persists for 2 weeks or more, and it's very severe, that it's every day, then you will be diagnosed with major depressive disorder. Okay? But you have to also understand, some people will get this diagnosis if the clinician forgot to assess the lifestyle. Oh. Because right now, because of pandemic, we are forced to stay home. We work at home. And so therefore, we lost our routine. And some people work until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Because we don't have to get up at 7 o'clock as before. So because of that, sometimes you say you are so lethargic during the time when you wake up in the morning, right? Because you have been sleepy, you have been, awake the whole night for several nights. You're already exhausted. And then it has changed your routine. So you don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, you don't have desire to be productive. And all of a sudden, you're showing symptoms of major depressive disorder. But it's not. It's just because your lifestyle has changed. And you need to actually create more structure in your day so that you can go back to a regular, life. And so you can have regular sleeping pattern. You can eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can do exercise and do other things.
I see. So very practical you also talk to your body. Dapat matulog ka na. Tama na yan. Or dapat gumising ka na. Tama na yan, tulog na yan. It's something that we can do on our own. Kaya lang, sometimes parang do we feel helpless about it? Parang hindi mo ma-overcome yon? Or is it a matter of self-determination, being intentional about it?
Actually, the truth is, if you really have major depressive disorder, it's very, very difficult to actually pull yourself out. And so that's why you need, like a community, like a family to take care of you, to remind you, to eat, to take care of you at this time, or a church to call you and encourage you to get out of your house when you're experiencing depression.
Okay. So, kahit na merong isang tao na tinawagan ka, kinumusta ka, that is a big help na pala. Yung ganong somebody is caring enough, concerned enough to look in on you just to check how you're doing. Yung pala ay napaka-liit na bagay, pero ang impact pala noon can be huge para doon sa taong meron ng nararamdaman. Dr. Harner, if there is one thing that you would like to leave with our listeners and viewers, what takeaway would you like them to gain that they can think of as they face anxiety, depression, uncertainty in these days?
I'd like to invite you guys to realize, do not be afraid of your emotions. They're not going to overwhelm you. Look at it. You will have to look at it. Look at why you are angry, because somebody probably has violated you. Look at why you're sad, because probably you have lost very, very important something and you're grieving. Maybe you're disappointed. When you're afraid, do not turn off your fear. You know why? Because the fear is very important for you to assess correctly. It gives you like the energy to actually perform better and really, really assess the situation better if you have a little bit of fear. But if you turn it off, you will end up doing something really you will hurt someone else or will hurt you in the long run. And so do not be afraid. And so if we are church leaders that are afraid of talking about emotions, do not be afraid, because the word of God can transform people's lives. And when we deal with these emotions, we can bring them to the Lord and they can be healed. So it's okay. You can have depression, you can have anxiety. I myself have experienced anxiety myself. I'm a clinical psychologist, but I still suffer anxiety disorder, once in a while. But now because I'm healed, I'm now able to help other people. But if I am afraid to say I have anxiety because, I am a church leader, then what hope, can people have if they're suffering, I am so afraid to actually accept that? My acceptance gives other people freedom to speak about those things, and we can heal with each other. And so I hope that, we do not allow our emotion to take over.
Mm-hmm.
We look at it, we consider it, and allow God to transform us as we know those emotions. And so may the Lord, meet you where you are at, and to remember that you are loved. Whether you are broken or not, you are loved in the first place.
Amazing. What powerful words. Napakagandang paalala sa ating lahat. And many of the things na narinig namin mula sa inyo ay talagang bago sa pandinig, but some of them are, what a moment of discovery you've provided for us. Maraming salamat, Dr. Gigi Harner.
Samantala, kaagapay, patuloy po ang aming pagtanggap ng anumang suportang pinansyal na nais mong iparating para sa FEBC Ministry. Pumunta lamang sa webpage na donatenow.febc.ph or tumawag sa 0947-333-5605, 0947-333-5605 or sa landline 8650-0855, 8650-0855 para po sa mga detalye. Maaari rin pong mag-donate sa pamamagitan ng GCash. Saan po tayo huhugot ng katatagan sa gitna ng maraming agam-agam dahil sa pandemya? Natututunan ba natin ang pagiging matatag sa mga bagay na hindi pa natin nararanasan tulad ng COVID-19? Ano po ang pananaw dito ng salita ng Diyos? Aralin po natin at pag-isipan kasama ang Pangulo ng FEBC Philippines, Dan Andrew Cura.
Iba yung kalakasan ng kailangan sa panahong ito. Kaakibat ang kakayanang baguhin ang ating buhay para umayon ito sa mga nangyayari sa ating mundo. Hindi na bago ito sa atin. Taon-taon ay dinaratnan tayo ng mga kalamidad, natural man o gawa ng tao. Dahil dito, nakilala ang mga Pilipino na matatag at bumabangon kapag nalulugmok. Ang pagiging matatag ay hindi likas sa bawat isa at hindi rin ito resulta ng sunod-sunod na paghihirap. Ayon sa modern psychology, ang katatagan o resilience ay ang proseso ng tamang pag-angkop natin sa kahirapan o trahedya. Dahil sa pandemya ay natuto tayong maging matatag, hindi sumusuko o naghihintay na lang kung ano ang darating. Ayon sa kilalang pastor, guro at manunulat na si Charles Swindoll, sabi niya, hindi uunlad o magtatagumpay ang sinumang hindi kumikilos at nangangarap na lang na may dumating na pagbabago sa kanila. Ang taong maunlad at matagumpay ay laging handang lumaban at hindi papayag na talunin sila ng anumang hamon. Dahil sa pandemya ay natutunan din natin na tanggapin ang mga malalaking pagbabagong wala sa ating kapangyarihan na kontrolin. Ayon kay Dr. Mary Alvord, isang clinical psychologist sa George Washington University, ang katatagan ay hindi natin likas na katangian, pero ito ay natututunan. Ang pinakamahalagang sangkap ng katatagan ayon sa kanya ay ang suporta mula sa mga tao sa ating buhay. Ang koneksyon natin sa pamilya, kaibigan at komunidad kasama ang simbahan ay pinanggagalingan ng kalakasan. Ngunit ang tunay na lakas at katatagan ay nagmumula sa isang matibay na kaugnayan sa buhay na Diyos. Ito ang sinasalarawan ng Isaías Kabanatang 40, talatang 28 hanggang 31. Ang Panginoon ay walang hanggang Diyos na lumikha ng buong mundo. Hindi siya napapagod o nanghihina at walang nakakaarok sa kanyang isip. Pinapalakas niya ang mga nanghihina at ang mga napapagod. Kahit ang mga kabataan ay napapagod, nanlulupaypay at nabubuwal, ngunit ang mga nagtitiwala sa Panginoon ay muling nagkakaroon ng lakas. Lilipad sila na gaya ng isang agila. Tumakbo man sila ay hindi mapapagod. Lumakad man sila'y hindi manghihina. Nakalarawan dito, ayon kay Melissa Bain Sevier, ang napaka-importanting mensahe para sa lahat ng mga nanghihina. Minsan ay hindi tayo makalipad ng gaya ng agila at hindi rin tayo makatatakbo kahit anong pagsisikap ang ating gawin. Ngunit kung ang kaya lang natin dahil sa kawalan ng lakas ay ang lumakad, kahit sa ganoong kalagayan ay palalakasin tayo ng Diyos para di tayo manghina. Ito ang kalakasang nagdudulot ng tunay na katatagan. Sa gitna ng maraming pangamba dahil sa health protocols at sa hirap ng buhay ngayon, nagpapatuloy sa paglago ang matatag na mananampalatayang Kristiyano. Una, lagi nilang pinapupurihan ng Diyos anuman ang mangyari. Ipinanganak akong walang dala at mamamatay din akong walang dala. Ang Panginoon ang nagbigay ng lahat ng mayroon ako at ang Panginoon din ang kumuha nito. Purihin ang pangalan ng Panginoon. Job, Kabanatang 1, Talatang 21. Pangalawa, nananatili silang mapagpasalamat. Magpasalamat kayo kahit ano ang mangyari dahil ito ang kalooban ng Diyos para sa inyo na manganak kay Kristo Jesus. Unang Tesalonica, Kabanatang 5, Talatang 18. Pangatlo, bumabangon sila at nagpapanibagong lakas. Ginigipit kami sa lahat ng paraan pero hindi kami nalulupig. Kung minsan kami naguguluhan pero hindi kami nawawalan ng pag-asa. Maraming umuusig sa amin ngunit hindi kami pinababayaan ng Diyos. Kung minsay sinasaktan kami ngunit hindi tuluyang napapatay. Pangalawang Korinto, Kabanatang 4, Talatang 8-9. Para maging matatag sa panahong ito ng pandemya, hindi natin kailangang magmukhang malakas. Kung hindi, hayaan natin ang Diyos ang magpalakas sa atin. Ang paalala ni Propeta Isaias ay, hindi niya pababayaan ang mahihina ang pananampalataya at hindi niya tatalikuran ang mga nawalan ng pag-asa. Isaias, Kabanatang 42, Talatang 3. Ama naming Diyos, tunay nga na ang aming kalakasan ay galing sa iyo. Hindi kayo nagpapabaya, bagkus lagi kayong nasa aming paligid, nasa aming tabi, nasa aming unahan. Mangyari, O Diyos, na kami ay magpasalamat sa iyo at humingi ng kalakasan na nanggagaling lamang sa iyong banal na Espiritu. Sa ngalan ni Jesus. Amen.
Dito po muling nagtatapos ang COVID-19 Watch Weekend para po sa linggong ito. Mag-ingat po tayong lahat, kaagapay, at hanggang sa susunod na Sabado, sa pangalan po ng ating buong pangkat, ako po ang inyong nakasama, Heidi Bernard Sampang, nagpapaalala, basta't laging handa at sama-sama sa kanyang lakas, kaya natin to.
Para sa karagdagang impormasyon tungkol sa mga balita at impormasyon o katanungan tungkol sa pag-aaral na inyong napakinggan, mag-message sa Facebook page ng FEBC Radio o tumawag sa 8654-1234. Ang COVID Watch Weekend ay naririnig sa mga himpilan ng FEBC Philippines at sa mobile app na FEBC PH Stream.